Right.
I told Sophie, and Sophie and I agreed that we both enjoy that, but I didn't make one today. I will say this: one person in this room knows the details of this. I'm working on an ultimate project that maybe will be displayed to all of Augustins, depending upon this person's consent / lack of consent. The latter would prevent that from happening. But I'm working on an ultimate project detailing, it's an expose basically, details this man's long and sordid history of kind of covert black ops operations. And will be, there might be a crew from like 60 Minutes here to do follow-up kind of, would you ever have thought kind of questions, and everyone's gonna be like,
instead of a great debate, it'll be a great debate.
Yeah, I want to. Heather Meyer already asked me. She's like, "What is the next great debate going to be?" And did all of you attend? Who did not attend the great debate? You guys were all there, really? You were not there. Okay. I think it went really well. The speakers were awesome, and it's all credit to them. Like truly, like they will make or break the event. And both speakers did a very good job. I thought they were both very articulate, and whoever you thought won or whatever, awesome. But I loved how awkward the the face-to-face thing was. That was so awkward. Yeah, like in the best way. I mean, like in a really good way. If it's supposed to be uncomfortable, like it would have been less awkward.
I'm glad you did that. That's a good.
Well,
as far as the crowd goes.
yeah, just like the tension, and like it would have been fun if they would have punched each other. Actually, seriously, that was part of it, because like that would have relieved some stress, you know.
You should have had next time have them come out wearing the sumo costume
and just bounce into each other. Yeah, whoever gets knocked off the stage loses. Well, anyways, yeah, no, thankfully I was very, very happy, especially because Father Chase, honestly, he's the brilliant brain behind this. He devised this, and I guess it is the biggest event technically we have on the whole calendar. So at least from my department. So it was great. Yeah, thank God. Really, just I have no jokes or sarcasm to offer. It was awesome. I'm very happy. But for the third debate, I would love, people have already been asking me, I would love to have someone like, does everyone know who Michael Voris is from Church Militant?
Yeah.
I would love to have Michael Voris versus Bishop Barron. Like, not going to happen. I mean, the odds of getting Bishop Barron, you probably have to be nephew to the Pope's sister. Like you have to have super special connections, But like that kind of debate, or failing that, does anyone know who Father Casey Cole is? Father Casey Cole he has like 13,000 Twitter followers, which is dumb to announce, but it's like, that is kind of currency in today's age. Like he has big social media presence. It would be 13,000. It's, well, wait a second. For a Catholic, yeah. It's okay. Time out a second. Like Ben Shapiro, the conservative commentator, has like 4 million followers. Yes. Justin Bieber, I think, has 118 million followers. Okay. I'm saying for a Catholic commentator, 13,000 is not bad. It's in the tens of thousands. If we have this debate on Zoom last year, I think for Wilson and French, we might have had a couple, 20 people. I don't know how much it was exactly. But if all, but if all of Casey Cole's followers, Father Cole, if he has 13,000 followers on Twitter, if half those watch, it's 6,000 people on Zoom. That's pretty freaking good for St. Augustine's debate. So that's what I'm saying. Yes, in the big scheme of things, Dominic, right? That's not a lot in a large scheme. For Catholic, Sophie, triple gold star. For Catholic commentators who normally have 17 followers, kind of stuff. Yeah, that's pretty good. Casey Cole versus a guy who has even more Twitter followers, Taylor Marshall. If you know Taylor Marshall, he has like almost 100,000. That would be awesome. And the question I want to be is like the meaning of Vatican II. Father Casey Cole is very, very pro Vatican II. Of course, I accept in full obedience. I love it being Catholic. Doesn't matter what I personally think. Like, doesn't matter that I think, I wish the mass would go back to Latin, and I do. I love that. I completely accept Vatican II because the church, whatever the church says, I submit to her wisdom. But Father Casey Cole, what I'm saying is not only that, I think both him and Marshall are both faithful Catholics, but Father Casey Cole is like Vatican II, I think, is the best thing ever. And Marshall's extremely critical of Vatican II. Pope Father Casey Cole is like very pro Francis. Marshall says a lot of things criticizing Pope Francis. That debate would be really hot, I think, really just like contentious live wire, way more than Catholics versus communism in the shroud. Just kind of like, especially if I have a topic like, so tell me what you think of Pope Francis, 2 minutes, I would just be incredible. And I think like with the Twitter presence they both have, the social media can really garner a lot of views. I was even telling Heather that how many people would come in person? I think a lot, actually. I think a lot of Catholics here would want to come see that and travel from like Post Falls and maybe Boise area. Forget that though. We might have 200 people in person and 9,000 online. That would be freaking sick. So that's my goal for the third debate. We'll kind of see how it goes. Dave, you look like you have a bunch of questions and comments. Go.
I have 2 criticisms. Mm-hmm. One is, like the other night, it was Christian economy.
Right.
not specifically Catholic. Vatican II, of course, is
Right.
uniquely and specifically Catholic.
Mhm.
And I think isn't part of the idea of the great debate is to bring a wide audience.
I want to hear your second thing because no F. It's an F.
And
No.
secondly, I say this isn't about Catholic. Aren't we tired of hearing about Vatican II by now?
Also F. So
You know?
no, we're not. Time out. Okay, so time out. By the way, you guys know this, and I love this. I love, no sarcasm, no cheesiness, how our open debate in this class always criticize me. Those are very valid points. And you may be right. I'll tell you why I disagree. On the first point, again, call me a capitalist, cared about the bottom line. I just want numbers. I'll do any topic. I'll do like why dogs are more important than children if you got 100,000 views. Like I want to have people on the thing. Yes, this was well attended, relatively speaking. I'll go full Dominic, like 13,000 views, well attended. We had like 110 people there, no one online. There's no Zoom. What I'm saying is, so first of all, also in that ecumenical point, I sent out things to St. Andrews and Bootsers. How many people attended from St. Andrews and Logos? I think absolutely nil. I mean, there might've been like 6 people. I don't know. I didn't know that you guys were there. The lights were so bright in my face, I couldn't see anybody in the audience. I talked to you guys beforehand, so I knew that you guys were there, but otherwise, but I don't know who goes, but what I mean is like, how many students go to Logos? How many go to St. Andrews? If 10% of the people attended, we would have had 600 people there probably. So what I'm saying is, they didn't come out for it. It wasn't like this. If we were having events where there's 2,000 people, we had to out on the lawn and all of Moscow, I would 100% agree and be like, look, we've developed this reputation in the community where people come out. They haven't come out for the first 2. They came out only last year because their boy was in the debate. I mean, literally the son of the guy who founded the community. It's like, well, and still only like 20% came, with that. It wasn't everybody. And so second of all, so I don't mind keeping it just in the Catholic because of the. Good morning, Maria. You are not late at all. We haven't started yet. Just because of the online potentiality and I would months out be like, demand, we're going to live stream it, because if we had those people like Casey Cole, Father Cole, and Marshall, they combined, every one of Taylor Marshall's videos has 54,000 views. Can you imagine getting something we do at Augustine's on YouTube close to 100,000 views? Especially if it's a really good debate, it's very heated and they fight, and we get it. We've got 1 million views. I'm serious. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I care about. I couldn't care less about, people that were coming downtown. You're right, though. Both those points are great. The second point, are we sick about Vatican II? Probably, but not in a debate format. We're sick of Clarissa after Mass fighting with Maurice over coffee and donuts or Vatican II. Yeah, we're sick of those people, right? The kind of like dumb banter, like we talk about something else. Pope Francis is so great. He's awful. Like that kind of stuff is annoying, right? But those guys on stage, I don't know. I'm taking up way too much time. I told Sophie already, I don't have a lot of slides for you. Don't have a fun movie for you today. And we're not going to be long today. It's one of our shorter classes again, because next class, Maria, we are going to be here freaking long, 16 pages of lecture notes. And we're talking about women on the home front, women in the trenches, next class. So a lot of like really interesting topics. Am I saying today's class is going to be boring? I'm not. I'm saying it won't be too long. Go, Dave, last comment, last freaking word from me. What do you want? Haven't you said enough already? Let us begin. Okay.
I had no comment there. Don't give me comments.
How dare you? How dare you suggest? Oh, wait, no. We're moving on. So today, go ahead.
So I don't know if you're like work in combination with like St. Thomas More and Pullman, like you could bring in more people if you made it like across the campuses.
I have a finger, and no, this will be vulgar. I was going to talk about slowly showing a finger in sign language, and that's not right. St. Thomas More. Hey, St. Thomas More, when you guys watch this video, do you guys write back to my emails? Anybody? Let's talk about St. Thomas More. Let's talk about St. Thomas More. Go Cougs Catholics. Yeah, let me talk about St. Thomas More. The priest over there is an amazing guy, Father Paul. Love him. This is true. Everything I'm saying now is true. Am I setting up some harsh criticism of St. Thomas More? I am. Father Paul is a really great guy. Period. Great priest. The staff over there, they invited me to give 2 talks. Lovely people. And I am a Coug. I love St. Thomas More. I've given 2 talks. I hate St. Thomas's More communication on emails. When you receive an email, you can go to the top and you can press reply and write back. I wrote like 4 emails to St. Thomas More about my World War I class. Hey, it's Pullman. Never got a single response. Then I wrote to St. Thomas More in advance of the debate, I think twice, to like 4 people with posters. Didn't get a freaking response. So St. Thomas More not collaborating with you guys ever, because you guys are both are bad. Either you don't like responding emails, which just offends me, or you're so technologically incapable, you don't know how to respond to email, which scares me. And so I don't want to, yeah, so no. Good.
This is like the main office email.
Everybody, I wrote to like 9 people there. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Really?
And I'm saying this, look, this is evidence of my bona fides. I love St. Thomas More. Amazing community. When I went there to give a talk in last October, so warmly welcomed. The guy there who's their version of me, like their intellectual guy, is an amazing guy. Really nice guy. This is all true. I mean this. So I love the thing, but my criticism also true. Like I tried contacting them, it's just absolute dead air silence, like 9 emails unanswered. So whatever, guys. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Not.
So
Okay.
Are we recording that?
Yeah, right. This is all recording. I want this recorded. This is freaking me. Yeah. Hey, I hope when this gets big, I hope when Vandal Catholic gets big, I have something to say. I hope when Vandal Catholic gets big, that we have like 100,000 views and we get really famous, and St. Thomas More wants to play this World War I class after our amazing Anna Cresslins has this all online. They want to play this for their people, and they're watching this World War I class. They're getting a good following, and they come to this thing, and little they know they're gonna get roasted for like 5 minutes in front. I hope like right now, 3 years in the future, all you guys are enjoying getting roasted in Pullman because you didn't write back to our emails. Write back to the freaking emails.
We can rename it. It doesn't have to be about the war.
We can, yeah. Here's the video: Gracjan Kraszewski, and then in caps, destroys St. Thomas More. Even because I didn't, right? All those videos are always such clickbait. It's like I watched the video. Well, he didn't destroy what? Like, but it's always like destroy their own with the extra font. You know, like.
This week, ranting with Ross.
Right back to my email. When I write you guys email, right back to my email. Right back. All right. Problem solved. Okay. So today we're talking about a new front in a certain sense, okay? By the way, nice attendance today. Seriously, welcome everybody. I'm dead serious, really. I thought it was just gonna be me and Sophie, and I'm like, the thing about Zoom is great is that I just do it for the recording, so it doesn't matter. It's like having one person in the class. I'm serious. Again, this is all sincere. You can have a kind of question dialogue. This is great. This is the crew plus Claire is here as well today. This is awesome. Okay, first battle of the Zanzo. June to July of 1915. I mentioned to Sophie before class, I mentioned to you now, we're just closing the Western Front today. We're closing the Western Front. We're gonna do a nice recap at the end, okay? Italy, question mark, Southern Front. How many fronts are there in the war so far? What are we really talking about?
Well, 3 for sure.
Okay, name them. Explain.
Russia, France / the West. And
Right.
now, as you say, the South.
Okay.
There's a siege, so there's not much.
Well, and we're getting there soon. Perfect. So basically, when you talk about World War I, you're going to say, people often, I think, divide it into 3 categories. They say the Western Front, which is France, end of the Battle of the Frontiers, hardening of the Marne, first Ypres, race to the sea. We talked about that so many times, but good. I want to always repeat, because it'll really kind of be interiorized properly. Western Front, Eastern Front, from Tannenberg through the Gorlitza-Tarnów offensive, the great push of the Germans, pushing the Russians back. Tsar takes command. To west and east often. And then the third thing people will say is kind of everything else. There's a battle of Kilimanjaro. There's battles in Persia. There's the Japanese went to the war to take the German colonies. Those often get lumped in. Well, that's the world part of the World War. But right, when Italy enters the war, there is the opening of a Southern Front. And Italy question mark, the reason I have the question mark is Italy immediately betrays their alliances. This is not a criticism. I'm a huge fan of Italy. I really am. I love the Italian language, Italian culture, Italian food, even like in a stupid American way, like the American version. I love everything about Italy. But they have this absolutely well-deserved reputation for complete fickleness and being like a weather vane and wetting their finger and sticking it in the wind and seeing which way it blows. Italy is supposedly, leading up to the war, an ally of the Central Powers, as they can, or again, a lot of these terms too confused with the Axis in the Second World War, but an ally of Austria-Hungary and Germany, an ally of the old Holy Roman Emperor, Central Europe, Germanophone Central Europe, Austria-Hungary and Germany. Why does Italy betray that and join the Allies? Because they do. Because the Southern Front and these battles, plural, of the Isonzo, there's going to be 12 of them, are Austria-Hungary versus Italy. And I'm definitely loading up the question now. Why does Italy leave Austria-Hungary and Germany and join the Allies? What do they want? And here's where I want you to think about the cause of the war, the dual causes being what Russia wanted and what France wanted. And this will really help you.
Yeah, there's probably like a piece of land that they're
Perfect.
after.
Perfect. Yeah, both of you. Excellent. A big motivation for France going to the war, they want Alsace-Lorraine. The Russians want their own piece of land. They want to recapture Constantinople, capture Istanbul, rename it Constantinople, bring back the old Byzantine Empire. That was the whole part of the tragically failed Gallipoli campaign. Not only the soft underbelly of the opposition, as Churchill believed, well, the Germans are kicking a lot of butt on the Western Eastern Front. Maybe we can open up a new front, maybe a double, which southern front, the Italian one or the Ottoman one. Maybe we can open up through there, but we're going to give Russia what they want, which is land. What Italy wants, the answer is very simply is land, period. Okay, that's the whole answer.
Just in general, they just want to expand.
So let me give you a 2-second. Yes, it would be expansion. They would say it would be reclaiming. It's for irredentist, revanchist kind of claims. All right. That was the big thing that we talked about in the first couple lectures leading to the assassination, that the Serbian uber nationalists / terrorists, Black Hand, were always complaining that Austria-Hungary was a usurper. They were usurpers who had stolen land rightfully belonging to the Serbian people, to the Slavs. And for them to wage war against Austria-Hungary would be a just war, a holy war, but more importantly, would regain territory rightfully theirs. The Italians want to regain, which they believe is Italian land. A crash course in Italian history very quickly. They unify the exact same year the Germans do, 1871. Prior to that, you have the Papal States, you have Piedmont, Sardinia, you have these different kind of like, on what is the boot of Italy, kind of just like, more not as broken down and fractured and confederated as going back to when it was Padua versus Perugia versus Florence, back to the kind of the Florentine histories of Machiavelli and St. Thomas Aquinas' era, when literally I think St. Francis of Assisi was wounded in battle, when he's famous wounded in battle by fighting the city across the street from him. Assisi fight, I think it was Perugia. Like, it was a joke. Like, things were so localized and so fractured, so small, that Francis, he was in Moscow. He didn't get wounded by going to fight abroad. He got wounded in a battle against Poland, like literally across town, like a high school football game. Okay, so Italy is so fractured. They're looking to unify. They finally do in 1871, but they're like, okay, we want to incorporate more land into this Italian Republic and the port of Trieste and these areas, especially in by the Alps in northern Italy that border on the Austro-Hungarian Empire. There is a municipality in southern, I think it's in southern Austria. I looked this up, it was amazing, where everybody has German names. Okay, this is a town in the current borders of Austria. Everyone's named Schmidt, but all of them speak Italian. I think they know German, okay, we're in Austria, but it really is like not as much as you think. It's not like, oh, of course, German's our first language, we speak Italian because it's cool or fun. No, it's an Italian area. It's a culturally Italian area, and they're named Schmidt, but they're Italians. And this speaks to that, right? It's kind of like this borderland where I talked about this with Poland. When Poland was off the map between 1795 and 1919, in terms of political realities, some parts of Poland are part of Austria-Hungary, some part of Russia, some part of Prussia, and later on the German Empire. But those cities like Krakow, like Wrocław, they're Polish speaking. So yes, a lot of those people will have the language as well, the geopolitical on the map entity of those ruling them, but they retain a certain cultural heritage. Same thing here. Land. Let's be as simple as possible. Italy just joins the Allies because they're like, well, I think the Allies are going to win. It's probably a good idea to be on the side of France and Britain, who's the top, despite Germany having taken over and kind of becoming the, displacing the British as top dog. They have Germany, but they only also have Austria. They're going to have Great Britain, the traditional great power, plus Russia as the most men, this massive behemoth bear, plus France. It's not bad, right? They're making these calculations. They're very much being opportunistic and pragmatic. Same thing as Italians when they switched sides during the Second World War, right? We're going to talk about the interwar period at the end of this class, the rise of Mussolini and fascism in 1922. The Italians are all in the interwar period back to the kind of conservative, way to the right, uber nationalist fascist side under Mussolini when he gets killed in 1943. Okay, now we're on the Ally side again. There's a reason maybe why Italy since World War II has had something like 85 governments. They change presidents every 13 months. I'm not mocking you, or I'm not trying to be funny. They just do. Whatever. That's probably what they say. Hey,
when they in Germany, when they unified, I don't want to take us down too many rabbit holes here, but how did that happen? Did all the individual states get a vote that, yeah, we're in, that's a good plan, let's all be Germany now, or let's all be Italy. And what I'm getting at is, how did the Vatican excuse it?
Well, the Vatican hated it.
Well, sure, but how did they stay out?
Well, the papal states, they just remained, it was, I think it was too awkward for the Republic to have, the Republic was very secular, separation of church and state, blah, 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 those kind of things. But it would have been very, very awkward for them just to kind of, envelop the Vatican, kind of take it over. Bad for polling, lack of a better word, right? You're even if people are secular in Italy, they're all Catholics. This would look like we're attacking the Pope directly. The Pope already, as Pius the Ninth, already in the 1840s was denouncing like Mazzini, Young Italy, Garibaldi. These people that Americans like Garibaldi, he's a great guy. The Pope hated him, and that's why. As a Civil War historian, this is my ultimate forte. I wrote up in my book. I have a whole chapter on Confederate diplomacy. Pope Pius IX was a huge Confederate supporter. People, it's total fake news. And like, well, he didn't take sides. He didn't take sides officially, but he absolutely made known with a personal letter to Jefferson Davis, the Confederate president. He even sent him a crown of thorns when he was in prison, and a signed autograph. And it's very simple. We look at the Civil War through the prism of slavery alone, and it was the main cause. But that wasn't what Pius IX was looking at. He said he believed the same people that were trying to screw up the whole map of what was then the Italian peninsula. Those Republicans were the same people like Abraham Lincoln. He's like, better than thou, holier than thou, goody two shoes, Puritan reformers. And he saw in the Confederacy this kind of traditional society with respect for authority, blah, 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 whatever. It's a convoluted thing. Again, I would never promote my book. Get my book or read my book. It's so gross. But I do have a whole chapter on this where I go into this, and yeah, the Vatican was not a fan of the Italian Republic as this Risorgimento was going on. And in fact, later on, Mussolini will sign a concordat with the Vatican in 1922, if I'm not mistaken, formalizing that idea of the Vatican as a separate country, like the hands off, right? We have hands off to you guys, but you guys don't get to impose Catholicism on the secular state of Italy, the secular republic, that kind of agreement kind of thing. How do these things get formalized? Through war. So already you have a war between, you have a war in Venetia, I believe, in 1859. The big war, the big war that enables land that the Austro-Hungarians had ruled in this area to be to fall into jeopardy and to fall into the persuasion of the Italian Republicans is 1866, when we talked about that, when the Prussians defeat the Austrians and form the modern state of Germany. And the real death knell blow, again, is our main cause to the Great War. You can say 1871, the Franco-Prussian War. French troops were stationed around the Papal States to protect the Pope from the encroachment of the Republic. Where do those French troops have to go when the Germans fight France? Back to France. So it's a double blow. The French troops guarding the Papal States no longer there, so the Republic is able to consolidate its power and form Italy, while the Germans consolidate power on French heads in battle by defeating them. So a lot of it was wartime settlements and after and that kind of thing. Both the modern states of Germany and Italy both come into being as the entities we know today in 1871. So very, very recent new states, both with that I want a place in the sun desire, because they came late to the land grant table, and that manifests here. The Italians have a 225 to 115,000 advantage. Wow. All right, but they still lose. If I'm not mistaken, the Italians lose every single battle of the Isonzo. There's going to be 12 battles of the Isonzo, okay? We will focus on which one specifically. I'm just opening this up. I'm just opening your mind today to the Battle of the Isonzo, right in this borderland territory with a river, steep mountains, very kind of forbidding, maybe bad ground to fight, but it's right on the border. What is the most famous Battle of Isonzo called? I have it on the board, right? So I can't really ask you one. It's the Battle of Caporetto. And this is Hemingway's novel that I assigned for this class, assigned in big scare quotes. You don't have to get it. Like, if you read all 8 books that I assigned, if you would just do the lectures, you come to class, take good notes, you can do it, you're going to leave with a very good understanding of all of them. I guarantee. I think you've already shown that. You guys are doing a great job. If you read those books, I mean, you'll just have crushed that time period. You don't have to. I don't even feel obligated. But if you do read that novel, Farewell to Arms, it takes place around this 12th battle of the Isonzo Caporetto, with a nice love story between a soldier and a nurse. Yeah. The Caporetto is called the worst disaster in Italian military history, but that's for later on. That's 1917. The Battle of Caporetto is October and November of 1917. At that point, the Americans are already in the war. We're going to get back to Caporetto later on in the class, so don't worry. fret not, fear not. Just know, because pretty soon we're gonna do a recap in this class. Italians enter the war. We're gonna get that land from the Austro-Hungarians. They get it handed to them immediately, and just Caporetto becomes the Italian version of futile battles like the Somme. Just battles of attrition, battles just being worn down, men dying and me crying. They're very, very sad. Okay, let's move to something different, however. Actually, let me show you pictures of Cap. No, I'll do it at the end. I have like 20, I have very small slides today. It's fine. And Betsy Johnson isn't here, who always keeps me on task with slides. Betsy is, as you all know, both a dear friend to all of us and a brilliant woman. But she is not here to tell me, Gracjan, put the slides in now, so I'm not going to do it. Betsy, you listen to this later. You're not here. That's why the slides aren't coming up. Too bad.
She asked me to remind you to get the slides up.
Ooh, I need that in writing. So
And it's also dependent on, feels like.
Dave, when you say anything, like on a scale of 0 to 100, my belief in what you say is like 0.4. It's like that, I just don't believe what you say. It has to be at least like 31 out of 100. Like, you're that's not even one. You can just stop. Thanks for bringing notes. That would bump it to 7. I mean, you probably forge the note, All right, the Zimmerwald Conference. What is SUI? What is that country? I'm gonna use Dave's foot rest. Heel and toe there. It's actually really nice. Thank you. I'm that serious. This is cool. Thank you, Dave. Sure. Maria, tell me he's wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me this isn't cool. I didn't make it. He made it. He made it. Not me. I'm just using it. Whatever, Claire. Yeah, you're not impressed. Cool. I know you're a hard person to impress. Okay.
She's bigger than this.
You're cooler. Yeah. You're better than all of us. We get it. What does SUI stand for?
Strategic.
No. Wow.
Saudi.
Saudi. Yes. Saudi.
Is it?
No. Switzerland. Yes. Zimmerwald. This very Arabian name. Switzerland. Yes, Switzerland. Thank you. See, I'm Claire. I have all the answers, Claire. Switzerland. Thank you. Yes, perfect. Exactly. It's a conference, September 5th to 8th, 1915. One of 3 international socialist conferences convened by these anti-militarist, international brotherhood, anti-capitalist organizations. All right. The Zimmerwald Conference, again, thank you. Yes, Switzerland. And why does that matter? Switzerland is, we know, is famously neutral. Right? So it's like, we're just here in this country that is off the map. It might as well be on the moon, literally. We're not taking part in the maelstrom of what's going on. Switzerland, Zimmerwald Conference, just the facts, please, is just the organization of people, Bolsheviks and not all of them are Bolsheviks, excuse me. Not all of them are the most extreme radical wing of the people that will eventually take over in Russia. We're going to do like 3 classes on this. I mean, if you have always wondered what the revolution looked like in Russia, buckle in. I mean, we're going to talk a lot about this later in the class. As you know, we can the syllabus. I stay on topic with the syllabus, so you'll know when those classes are. These guys get together and they issue a manifesto. All right, they issue a manifesto. 4 points in this manifesto. Let me read them to you. Okay. Number 1, the manifesto of these people again, who are what? Who are anti-war. Number 1, because 2, they believe it's an imperialist, capitalist thing, and number 3, believe nationalism is bad and we're all brothers, and the workers of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains. Karl Marx page, whatever, citing Das Kapital left and right, just kind of just basic standard socialists. They denounced Germany's violation of Belgian neutrality and call for the restoration of Belgian independence. Why do they call for the restoration of Belgian independence? Our football scoreboard of World War I, we said, the Battle of Frontiers was wildly successful for the Germans. The Battle of the Marne that Dave correctly identified, that Western Front, is the Allied victory of the century because it just prevents ultimate disaster. It prevents what everyone thought was going to happen, a repeat of 1871, and the Germans taking over Paris and the war being over. But the Allies really comport themselves very poorly on the Western Front, all the way up until this time, okay? I mean, they still are. Sorry, spoiler, Germans are just winning the whole time. So the first thing calls for the restoration of Belgian independence because Belgium is not independent. That's simple enough. Why are they not independent? Because it's German success. All right. Number 2, it denounced imperialism by all governments as the cause of the war and calls on all parties to support, to abandon their support for the war and turn to class struggle. Nice. So we don't like that you guys are killing each other on battlefields. Please kill each other for the workers to rise to power. So these guys are not pacifists. pacifists. In fact, Lenin is one of the most bloodthirsty people of all time. They're just saying we don't like people are dying for this cause. We want people to die. We want violence, just a different kind of violence. Yeah, pacifists, my ass, right? Seriously, it's like they're not pacifists. They just don't like this kind of. They want to have a pacific approach to World War I, which is a capitalist, imperialist, blah blah blah, insert cliche struggle, and take that violence and apply it somewhere else. So 1, restore Belgian neutrality. 2, denounce imperialism. Everyone quit the war, start fighting for class struggle. 3, the aim of that struggle, before we get to class struggle, but let's say the aim of that process. The aim of that process that I just described, number 2, quitting the war and fighting for class struggle, must be immediate peace without annexation. All right. And number 4 is just an anti-nationalist point. It says, okay, we quit the war and you work for class struggle. Don't worry about what they call national defense. Don't worry about, well, when we quit the war, what's going to happen to France, Germany? We're all international brothers. We're going to get together and just denounce the bad capitalist guys, the robber barons. There won't be a need for nations anymore when we have this new world order based on socialist brotherhood. Okay, so 4 points again. 1, restore Belgian neutrality. 2, abandon support for the war and fight for class struggle. 3, you're going to get to that process by immediate peace with no annexations, hence back to point number 1 about Belgium. And 4, we're going to get to that class struggle because you're not going to have to worry about what's going to happen to your home country. That doesn't exist anymore. It's going to be one red, happy, beautiful world of communist bliss. Lenin, though, I'll clarify you in 1 second. Do not lose your train of thought, please. Lenin is one of the only guys there who calls for this revolutionary civil war. See, he wants war. He wants people to fight. He wants bloodshed. It's just in the right way, quote unquote, as he sees it. Not for imperialism and capitalist game, but for the socialist utopia. Claire, go ahead.
Oh, you're gonna answer that. I was just gonna ask like what parties were present. But you just said
No parties. These are no.
people.
Lenin, first of all, is in exile in Switzerland. He's here, right? This is his home. And he's going to get sent in a sealed train later in the war to Russia to cause trouble by the Germans. And Churchill famously, I quoted this last class, said that'd be like putting cholera in the water supply of a big city. One is going to bite back on you as well. Releasing this pathogen, it's going to mess our enemy. What if it spreads everywhere?
From Switzerland?
No, Lenin is from Russia.
From Russia,
He was in
in
exile.
exile,
He was in
and
exile because he
Russia.
was seen as a terrorist by the Tsar.
Okay.
Him and Stalin, all these guys were seen as terrorists. Terrorist is a stronger word I can use. Troublemakers is I should use troublemaker first and then terrorists. Upping the ante, but just seen as bad guys by the Tsar's government. They were in exile and hiding. They've been in Siberia in prison. He's in Switzerland hiding, so he's not executed. His brother was executed famously for trying to assassinate the Tsar in 1887. Tsar Alexander III. And sadly, he was offered clemency, and he refused it. So like, hey, I'm telling you, if you don't say you're sorry, I have to kill you because you tried to kill me. And he says, no, I don't regret anything. So, and then Lenin blamed the Tsar for being just a bad guy for killing his brother. And it's like, dude, he forgave him. I said, just please say you're sorry. And he refused. So who's the bad guy here? Whatever. All right. These three.
One other question is Belgium the only area that's annexed? Or is it just like a town of imperialism?
No. Germany, we're going to get to, I'll postpone your question when I talk about this in a second at the end, but I'll answer very quickly. No, again, Germany, for lack of a better word, is just kicking butt all over the map. They have so much of everything. Yeah. Where is Germany? You know where Germany is? In the Central Europe. Just imagine double expansion, like a bird. Germany sits here and imagine a bird opening its wings. And like they're taking all that land. They have Belgium, they have big part of France, a big chunk of France. All these battles are being fought in northeastern France that are occupied by Germany. Behind the German trench, that's a lot of French territory. The Germans are there. They're all up in Belarusia, what is formerly Poland, Eastern Russia. The Germans are really, really succeeding. A lot of people have said, this guy Moser, if you want to read a book, M-O-S-E-R, says if America doesn't enter the war in 1918, there is no question the Germans win. The Germans do win in the East. Spoiler, the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk gives Germany basically half of Russia. The Germans completely win in the East. And then in the West, they're just overwhelmed by Blackjack Pershing and the 100 Days Offensive of the Brave Doughboys, the Americans coming over. It's true. I mean, I don't care. Accuse me of being a prideful American. I am. I love America. America does come in like Captain America style, Winter Soldier. I hate Marvel or whatever the DC, whoever. There is nothing more enjoyable than trolling someone on like that guy, like Spider-Man. What is Spider-Man? It's DC or Marvel.
Marvel.
Okay, it'd be like Spider-Man in DC Comics, and people get pissed about that. It's like, I'm glad you're pissed. Why are you into, why do you like this stuff? I hate superhero movies so much. I hate superheroes, for the record. It's like St. Thomas More announcing, I hate superheroes. I'm saying it as you can see my face. But because you guys like this garbage, it's like, yeah, it's like freaking whatever. It's like Winter Soldier guy in his tights coming in saving the day. That really is what happens. The Americans come in like superheroes, like Justice League or whatever, and clean up the Germans and eventually lead to armistice day. Without the Americans coming in, the Germans win the war, and they're winning the whole time. We're going to talk about that right here in a second, Claire. These three battles, I hope we talk about like in 5 minutes. This closes out the Western Front. Look at these dates. The third battle of Artois, the battle of Loos, and the second battle of Champagne. All of these, September 15th to November 6th. These three battles fit into one. They're all in the northeastern France, southeastern Belgium area, the northeastern France / Low Country area. They're all on what is known as the Western Front. They all continue from the first battle of Artois. And these offensives in the summer we covered last class. This is just the second part of the last class that we talked about on Thursday. And especially from what I said is the most famous city of the whole war, arguably, I would say the Ypres, right? The first battle of Ypres being where the race to the sea in the Western Front is hardened. Third, which we're going to talk about in the coming weeks, third Ypres Passchendaele, being that tragic place where people are drowning in the quagmire, the trench-ridden, hole-creating, shelled landscape that becomes that way because of the massive rains that fall. And second Ypres, last class, for the first time gas is used in the Western Front. Okay, please note, and last time I talked about this last, I'm talking about it first, scoreboard. So not only is Germany taking all of this land, right? God rest all their souls. One person dying in the war was sad, tragic for that family. Look at the numbers of casualties. This first battle, Germans lose 51,000. The Germans and the French double, 109,000. I'm pretty sure I'd rather be on the German side. I'm pretty sure it's better as a general. What were your losses today, sir? We lost 50,000 men. That's really sad. I'd rather that than we lost 109,000 men, right? Okay. How about the Battle of Loos? Germany loses 26,000. Great Britain, 60,000. Okay, that's more than double. And then finally, at the second Battle of Champagne, Germany loses 70, Allies double it again, 145,000. If you remember last class, all the numbers as well were in the German favor, remember? And it was like, there was a point, I think, in the first part of the Western Front, when the Germans might have lost 95,000 men, and the Allies 245,000. So let's do the math in our head now. 245 plus 145 is what? 390, right? Plus 60 is 450. Here so we have about 560,000 men, Allies lost. At 95 plus 51 is 141, is 146, plus 26, 172, plus 70, 242, right? So it's possible on the Western Front, the Germans lose 242,000 men, double that would be 484. Oh no, the Allies go more, they lose 550,000 men. Okay, if it wasn't enough to explain to you, look how the Germans are winning they have better tactics, they have better technology, they do. They're the best artillery people. They understand how not to lose men's lives by not just throwing them across the field, right? All that. If it wasn't enough, the technology and the land grab stuff, maybe the casualties does it for you to convince you, oh, Gracjan isn't just being whatever, weirdly pro-German for no reason. The Germans are winning on every possible facet. There's no facet the Allies are winning. The Allies pioneer, very tragically, I'll talk about this in a second, I shouldn't mock. This is too serious to make jokes, but just they pioneered this horrible tactic of a great opening first day, seizing things, and then again, oh wow, fool me once, shame on you. What's fool me 65 times? You know, the exact same thing. When we took the land, oh, our communications suck, the wires are broken, we can't call anyone. We didn't know what to do now. We expect to lose. Oh, and then we all die here, and then they throw us back. The only victories for the Allies often is like seizing 1 inch of ground, getting their butt hammered by just absolute, massive artillery shells, getting driven off the land, maybe losing 4 miles from the beginning. And it's like all those poor men, God rest their souls. Imagine, like my generals are complete morons, and this is what the mission. I'm sorry, but this is what the mission is going to be. I'm going to be sent across the field to purposely die with no cover, no tactics, right? All right.
Yeah, and the only thing that basically saved the Allies at this point is whenever Austria-Hungary calls up and says, "Help."
Yeah, exactly. Literally, that's as always, man. As always, I live for your comments in this class because they're always so insightful. It's true. The Germans say that being partnered with Austro-Hungary is like being shackled to a corpse. Pretty sure it's a really bad insult to tell someone. I went to my high school prom with this girl, and she was like, you know, imagine, right? You go to high school prom, like, so do you have fun tonight? Well, being on a date with you is like being shackled to a corpse. Like, ouch. You know, this is pretty like roasted stuff, right? Expecting an email from St. Thomas More is like emailing a corpse and expecting a response. There you go. I'm sorry, but truth hurts. Yeah, right. Every time Austro-Hungary wants to do their offensive, they want to do their own offensive, and nothing comes of it. And it's like the German commanders have to divert troops, and they have to take time away from beating up the Allies to help their floundering, what do you call it, ally. I like making fun of Italians, so no apologies. So how garbage is Italy if they can't beat Austro-Hungary over and over and over again? How bad is Italy, right? Maria, her face said it all. Like, wow, like, it was like a light bulb moment. Like, Germany really, really good. Allies not as good. Austro-Hungary bad. Wow, Italy. That's what her face said. Like, so you guys can't beat the people that are the worst people in the wartime. Okay. Yes, Dominic, excellent. Third Battle of Artois begins with artillery barrage, September 21st, 25th. Then the infantry attacks after the mists have cleared, but usual story, fool me 65 times. They see some type of stuff, and then they're pushed back. And the numbers come into play, they lose double the men. The fight will continue until October 13th, really. A lot of these battles kind of like work in tandem. Remember one of the, I think the first Battle of Artois, the Allies couldn't send men because they were pinned down in Ypres. Ypres ends on the 25th, where the first Battle of Artois began at May 9th. A lot of these things just, I want to give you as much detail as possible. You really can just say Western Front broad brush. I would not want you combining this with the Gorlitza-Tarnów offensive, because one is in the west, one is in the east. Or combining, oh yeah, the Battle of Loos, it's like Constanza. No, it's completely different fronts. But on these fronts, sometimes the battle names don't even mean so much. And often the battle names are sub-battles of the larger campaign, blah, blah, blah. Just Western Front in general. There's three reasons the Third Battle of Artois ends when it does. One, rains, massive rains. The Flanders area, the northeastern part of France, it gets a lot of, especially why the famous, very tragic and sad in Flanders fields, especially the Low Countries, just deluged by rain, and they're very, very low. They're at or below sea level, so just a horrible combination. It's a prefigurement of Third Ypres or Passchendaele. Please keep that in your mind when we get to talk about the Battle of Passchendaele, the saddest battle of the war, maybe only on par with the Somme, maybe. Exhaustion mutual. Do I have to explain that? The war ends because of mutual exhaustion. Finally, inter-allied fighting. Remember Foch, he liked moderated kind of combat. Foch, the French general, he liked moderated combat. Let's move it like German style. Let's move, advance, and survey the situation. Whereas Joffre, unfortunately, just like, I don't care how many people die, just throw them in. Kind of like this guy we'll talk about in a second, Douglas Haig. So welcome, brother. Yeah. So speaking of people who think they're really cool, Douglas Haig. What?
I'm just really happy to be here.
No comment. Okay, whatever. Okay, I'm happy you're here. I'm happy. I was saying, like, I started this class having one person, coolest person of all time, one person nonetheless, and then people started filing in. Now I feel like I'm getting nervous now. I think I'm gonna end the lecture. I can't do it. I'm getting stage fright now. Battle of Loos, September 25th, 28th. John, if you are able to stay for a little longer, I'll give you a beautiful recap of everything you missed, like 5 seconds, hopefully. So the decision to use CHWP, chemical weapons, is already in place by May 1915. All right. And in fact, it's already been used at Second Ypres, right? On April 22nd, 1915. The chemical weapons have already been used by the Allies. Remember, the first time chemical weapons are used on the Eastern Front of the Battle of Bolimov by the Germans, right? January 31st, 1915. Well, on September 25th, the British release the chemical weapons. All right. And again, it helps a little bit. A quick breakthrough through German lines, but maybe now it's fooled me 66 times. Bad plan plus communication failure, which maybe you can't even see with the TV blocking. But bad plan, communication failure, no hold. They seize the small place of land, and then the German guns right away come in. But it's even worse than this. Not only is it typical bad British tactics, No communication, no plan. We weren't expecting to seize ground. What do we do now? I guess we just die on this hill and the Germans push us back farther than before. On top of that, the gas blows back on the British. Let's talk about literally pouring salt in the wound. Remember, we talked about chlorine gas. We talked about the effects, the awfulness, getting in the lungs and interacting with the mucous membranes, causing hydrochloric acid to build up and this kind of dry drowning. God rest their souls. It was torturous, horrible death. Not only is that disable your troops, also embarrassing. It's like we can't even use our weapons correctly. Not only are our tactics complete garbage, and we have no clue what to do once we seize land. We don't even understand how to use the weapons we're trying to use. It'd be seriously like the American military debuts this amazing rocket, and they accidentally fired it on their own city. And they'd be like, "Wow, I mean, it was better to not have done it in the first place." Obviously, right? Germans dig in, and this is one of those battles. What is this nausea at ease of repelling the British? What is that? What do I mean by that?
What we were talking about where it's like the allied troops are just like marching in and getting completely gunned down.
Exactly. 12 attacking battalions of British soldiers suffer 8,000 casualties out of 10,000 men in 4 hours. Okay. In one attack, 8,348 British soldiers are killed and no Germans are killed. Germans are sitting there across the field as these guys just walk across and be shot like fish in a barrel. And they get nauseated. They're like, this is war. I'm a soldier. This is like close to murder now. These guys are just defenseless. They're just. These machine guns could fire, I think, at like perfect accuracy, like 900 yards away, pinpoint accuracy. The way like I could just like boom right here to this cup. So they could like hit people 900 yards from 9 football fields away, right? And so I mean, these guys are just like marching like this, whatever, just getting absolutely mowed down. The Germans just like, just F it, click it off, stop it. We're not going to do this. We're not going to let them go. Right. So again, this is the British tactics on the Western Front in a nutshell. No tactics. Don't even know how to use their own weapons. And just above all, though, what do you call it? Where is this here on this second battle of Champagne? Joffre. It seems that both the whole Allied command, from Joffre to the guy that will come in second and the guy before him, John French, they decide 2 wrongs do make a right. They decide that despite all of this evidence in our face, despite these massive casualties, John, what you missed, which was most interesting, and we'll talk about the land in a second, but I'll save it all for that. I'll give you the whole recap and some. Not only are the casualties so disproportionate and so bad for the Allied side, they decide, you know what we have to do, because this isn't working, we have to do more of this. Idaho Vandals, every football game, we start with we only onside kick. Those who know about football, who does not know what onside kick is? Okay, so normally when a team kicks off, you kick the ball as far as you can, if it does, into the end zone. You give the team the ball, because the idea is they're going to start, let's say it's a touchback, which means let's say it goes through the end zone. The guy doesn't even try to run it. They'll start at their own 25-yard line. They have 75 yards to go. We trust our defense to stop them, make them punt, and give us the ball back. An onside kick is a thing you usually do at the end of the game when it's desperate. The Vandals are losing 2019. There's 10 seconds left. We can't give them ball. We have to kick it very short on the ground, and maybe it'll bounce off a guy and we'll recover it, get the ball back, and have a last second play. The Vandals decide to do the onside kick every single play. And every single play, they don't recover it, and the teams have a short field and keep scoring touchdowns. And they lose 95-0. And they ask the coach at the end of the game, like, so do you think like you want to do traditional tactics, not onside kicks? He's like, this week we're going to work on our onside kicks. We do more onside kicking. Like, it's that kind of thing. Like, everything we're doing is showing to be proven wrong and complete epic failure. Double it to the point where it's almost evil and sinful. These guys start saying, no, we want attrition. That actually was our plan the whole time. You guys are upset that we're losing more men. That's what we want. Because I know you don't get this. You're too stupid. You common people, you don't understand military tactics. If more of our guys die, eventually they'll lose the war. I know it doesn't seem to make sense, but we want our guys to die because that somehow will make them also die, and we'll come out on top. To be fair to the Allies, it's not only the Allies who have this mindset. Falkenhayn, the German general, will say at Verdun in the next classes in 1916, I want to bleed the Allies white. And he starts doing his attrition tactics. But by and large, the Germans, we can say, try to conserve their men. And it shows in the tactics, but also in the idea of like, we're not going to do what the Germans do, the British do at the Somme, which is walk across an open field like this, seriously, like a step march across a mile. The Germans, that they realize, and this is shocking, right? It's not so common sense. They realize that is really, really dumb and accomplishes nothing. What is accomplished when you don't kill a single German guy and use 8,000 men in 4 hours? What does that accomplish? I'm pretty stupid when it comes to military tactics. That seems absolutely criminal. right? But that's what's going on here. So then they finally, they gave the final rationalization, well, we have to keep doing the attrition because that's what will keep the Germans away from the Eastern Front. Maybe that's it. Maybe we can't BS our way out of this. Our tactics really suck really bad, but at least we're keeping the Germans away from the Eastern Front, which also no. Let's do the recap. So 1914-15, as we near 1916, what's going on in the war? Well, let's look at what happened. Well, what's going on in the Southern fronts? The Southern fronts, we have double Central Powers victories. The great attempt of the Allies to open up the Southern front with the Ottoman Turks ends in failure. The Allies the lose at Gallipoli epically, right? It's one of the most tragic moments in British military history. So that fails. So 1-0 Germans/Austro-Hungarians. How about the second Southern front? The Austro-Hungarians being shackled like a corpse. This joke army found someone worse at football than them. It's like the Idaho Vandals when they scheduled Simon Fraser, 116-0. It's like Simon Fraser worse than us, right? The Austro-Hungarian army is the Vandals. They're horrible at football, but Simon Fraser is the Italians. And so 2-0 Central Powers. What's happening in the East? What's happening in the Eastern Front? We covered this all last class. Well, from the Battle of Tannenberg to especially the Gorlitza-Tarnów offensive, if this is the Eastern Front here is St. Petersburg, Moscow, here's Germany, the Germans have just done this, right? Okay, so 3-0. And how about in the Western Front? Well, same thing. The Germans have captured thousands, not over 1,000 miles, but hundreds and hundreds of miles of land, totally taken Belgium. And the only victory for the Western Front, the Allied powers on the Western Front is the Battle of Marne, which we just talked about earlier, is the victory like, well, they bombed our whole city and took everything, but that building's still standing. That's something to hang our hat on. Yeah, they didn't totally.
So we only won because
Yeah.
they overextended their supply lines.
Exactly. So the war begins in August of 1914. Here we are, 15 months later, New Year's Day, January 1st, 1916, the war on all fronts is being won by the Germans in terms of land, which is most important, in terms of tactics, and especially in terms of casualties. The number I wanted to give to you before you came in was in the whole Western Front, if you're just a numbers guy, which matters, because again, God rest all their souls. Every loss is tragic and sad and also bad for your command. On the whole Western Front in 1915, the Germans lose something like 240,000 men, the Allies over 500,000, more than double the men. So both in terms of tactics, in terms of land, in terms of everything. Douglas Haig will take command of the British forces, replacing John French. December 19th, 1915, he will be known as the Butcher of the Somme. He will just continue these kind of tactics to the max. He has a very, very bad reputation. People who try to rehabilitate him say, but if the war was open warfare, as it is in the end, in 1918, Haig would be seen as like a Napoleon. And he does fight brilliantly at the end alongside Pershing when the Americans come in, because we've exited the trenches, broken the trench stalemate, now we're fighting in open land. But I mean, and what I'm so excited about, we're 12 classes in, we've covered like 22% of the war. We have 78%. We're going to just getting to the real big stuff now. But in these first parts of the war, it's Germany 100%. It is absolutely in every possible way. And I agree with that guy that if the Americans never enter the war, and God bless America, because we do win the war for the Allies, but Germans absolutely win the First World War period, because they get the settlement they did with the East, and in the West, what are the Allies going to do? Keep losing, keep being double casualty the entire time? They just have to surrender. Belgium's probably annexed into the German Empire. It will go down in one of the greatest victories in European military history. Germany just cleaned World War I. That's what people don't understand. World War I is basically Germany won the football game 73-30, and their quarterback threw for 800 yards. But in the end, they turned out they cheated and they had a forfeit, that kind of thing. Like by technicality, they lose. So yeah, the other team won. Simon Fraser lost 68-0 to the Vandals this year. But at the end of the game, it turns out the Vandals, they did something illegal, they forfeit, and then Simon Fraser really rubs their nose in it at the peace treaty and says, we were better. And you guys know you lost 68-0, right? You guys suck at football. But okay, so okay, photos, and then we're out of here. We're out of here early today. Ooh.
I remember as a little kid in grade school and learning about the Revolutionary War, at least the 1960 version, and hearing from our teacher how the British, they would march in formation, and the Patriots would be hiding behind trees.
Yeah.
And it sounds like 100 years later, 130 years later, they're still doing that.
Sure. That's the big, again, I always use this comparison. It's perfect, it's brilliant, and you're exactly right, and she was right. The forts that the Germans absolutely just boom, 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 boom. We talked about that Germans had these kind of guns where they fired something, would pierce the fort, burrow into the fort, and then blow up from inside, and just they would just destroy these forts. The problem wasn't the forts were bad. The forts were state of the art. They didn't understand the tech coming into play. Same thing here. Marching in perfect formation was awesome. That's how the British won the whole world. But that didn't work once you had started having World War I weapons. World War I is the first time our culture today, I think, sadly, is obsessed with technology. Obsessed. Not even just like the new iPhone, whatever, but technology is the answer to everything. You know, Elon Musk is going to make people live forever and on Mars and crap like that. Just so gross and yucky. But this starts in World War I, where technology really is the ultimate factor. Remember, 75% of casualties in World War I are artillery fire. That's very high-tech stuff, very precision stuff. It's not the cannonballs of the Napoleonic era. So it wasn't so much, now you can rightfully say, fool me once, maybe the British should have learned. I think de Gaulle said, it took me 10 seconds in this modern warfare to realize courage meant nothing against machine gun fire. And I'm not going to send troops across to get 8,000 to nothing in 4 hours. So British definitely massive fail for not realizing the 100th time what dumbass tactics these are to walk across open land and machine gun fire. But the point is, it was the tech that overwhelms everything so much. Okay, here we go. Photos. I have very, very little photos for you today. Here's where the Asanzo is. Again, you can see where Verona is, right? This great city of love. Well, Venice, even more so, the city of water. See Trieste over there on the right side of the map? Trieste, that port city. It's an Austro-Hungarian port city. That's what the Italians want. They want that port. They want to take land away from the Austro-Hungarians that are Italian speaking and kind of grow their republic because they're especially angry they're late to the game, like the Germans unifying only in 1871. This is what the Asanzo battlefield looks like. Very precarious, not a good place to fight a battle, uphill. This is why, again, unto Caporetto, the 12th battle of the Asanzo, the Italians were just losing, because in many ways the Austro-Hungarians have the high ground and they're just getting bombed to smithereens. These are all scenes from the Asanzo. This one says it all right here, okay? What are you going to take when you have to mountain climb? Do it. I was watching the Olympics. There was like, fast mountain climbing. And anyone know who Alex Honnold is?
Oh, yeah.
Look up Alex Honnold. Dave Schmidt knows everything. I'm not surprised. Alex Honnold is famous he's a free solo climber. The video they made, he climbed, I think, El Capitan. Free solo, meaning with no gear. It's freaking crazy. Like, I'm dead. So whatever that is, like 1,000 feet, a couple thousand feet, he climbed up there.
The big one that he did.
The what?
Dawn Wall.
Oh, right. Yeah. And he's done a bunch. I mean, this is his life. He's like, this is total, he makes millions of dollars doing this. But he does.
And he was captured, him and his girlfriend were captured by terrorists.
Really?
And they had to literally, make an
Wow.
escape, et cetera. They got married, they got divorced.
Maybe don't climb there anymore.
It was kind of a saga. Yeah,
That's good to know. Thank you for that.
you're welcome.
Yeah, no, that's a great backstory. What I'm getting at is these guys aren't even Honnold. They're not doing, they have ropes. He does it free solo. Imagine having to have gear on climbing. And what do you tell the opposition? Hey, don't bomb us with artillery fire. We're going to climb this mountain to come kill you. Okay, like this is the kind of Italian tactics. Again, yeah, I have no comment. It would be funny if it wasn't so sad. God rest her soul. There's nothing funny, obviously, about one person getting hangnail on the ward. So it goes that saying, suffering isn't funny. If there was no suffering here, if it's a video game, this would be hilarious. Like really, you guys try to mountain climb up first a freaking rock cliff and not be your engine like down on you guys. Like, wow.
Was that the first porta potty or what was,
I don't know.
they had to hold those in.
That or like a place to smoke. I don't know. Either one. Maybe both. The smoke, John.
You need a smoking jacket.
Yeah, right. Speaking of jackets, I wore this sick green jacket yesterday. Freaking gorgeous, really oversized. This guy, everyone else in the office, like, "What are you playing the Masters?" Like they made me put me in the group of golf, which is like the worst thing you can be. It really hurt me. That could be, that had potential for a smoking jacket. I'll wear it sometime. Okay, here's this this hotel in Zimmerwald where the people are. This is the guy. Everyone knows who this is, right? Everyone know who that guy is, right? This is what Zimmerwald looks like today. Because anytime you can show pictures, this is freaking sick. We should take a trip there.
We should.
Switzerland, not Saudi Arabia, Dave. Wow.
I asked people who, this guy, okay, if you're not aware of this class, this guy is a living legend, like, he's a Moscow legend, seriously, one of the smartest men I ever met in my life. The only evidence to the contrary I heard today, I asked the Zimmerwald conference, which I know sounds Middle Eastern, the name, what SUI stands for, and he said Saudi Arabia, so.
Well, that was only after strategic didn't work, you know, right?
It's true, it's true. Yeah, I mean, that's fair, it's a fair rebuttal, you're right.
Yeah.
Here we have action, it's all from the Battle of the Moose. And then last slide, that's General Douglas take.
All right, my friends, I'm signing off. St. Thomas More, you want to write back to emails ever. You're the star of today's class, or the villain, however you want it to be. But you guys are the best, everybody, and I'll see you in 2 days.